The silence in this living room carries a weight I never imagined a house could bear. They say walls have ears, but mine, here in Dallas, seem to have memory and a kind of quiet contempt. I look down the dark hallway and realize that I built every inch of this structure with the sweat that ran down my face for 30 years, only to end up here, locked inside my own success. My name is Elijah Banks. I am 77 years old, and I discovered, too late, that the house I bought to be my family's castle has become my prison. It's funny how things change shape. Back then, the creaking of the wooden floor was the sound of life, of children running, of hurried footsteps heading to dinner. Today, every creak sounds like a warning that the structure is aging along with me, and that no one cares anymore whether the roof will hold through the next Texas spring storm. Every Sunday morning, I run my fingers over the mahogany dining table. It's my ritual. I polish it until I can see my tired reflection in the wood. It's a table for 12 people. A beautiful, solid table. But for at least 5 years now, it has seen nothing but my lonely coffee mug and the dust that insists on settling where Sunday plates once sat. I remember when we arrived here, in the late 60s, Dallas was a different place for a man like me. The heat was the same. That hot breath that feels like it's going to cook your lungs. But the air in the streets carried a different electricity. I worked on the Ford assembly line, double shifts, sometimes triple when management allowed it. My hands were always dirty with grease, and my nails were never truly clean, no matter how hard I scrubbed them with mechanic's soap in the backyard sink. But I didn't mind. Every extra hour was a brick. Every night shift, while the rest of the world slept, was another step on the ladder I was building for Marcus and little Nia. I wanted them to have what I never had in Georgia. I wanted them to have an address people respected. Back then, being a black man and getting a home loan in this neighborhood was like trying to swim across an ocean. I remember the man at the bank, in his gray suit and eyes that never met mine. He looked at my paperwork, at my spotless work history, and still found reasons to say no. But I kept coming back. I came back with more documents, more deposits, my spine straight and my best Sunday clothes on. I earned this house. I wrestled it from the hands of a system that didn't want me to have anything more than rent in a forgotten neighborhood. And when I finally got the keys, in 1974, I felt like I had beaten the world. I held that cold metal key in the palm of my hand and cried. It was the only time my children ever saw me cry until last year. I told them, "This is yours. No one can take this from you." I thought I was giving them roots. I thought I was creating a refuge where there would always be a place at the table. How foolish I was. I didn't realize that by giving them the world, I was teaching them to look down on the small piece of ground where I was left behind. Marcus was the first to go. He was so bright, so ambitious. I pushed him toward books. I used to say, "Don't let your hands end up like mine, Marcus. Use your mind." And he did. He graduated, got a job at a tech company in Austin, and then moved to Seattle. With every promotion, the distance between us grew, not just in miles, but in something deeper. On the rare occasions he came back, he would look at the walls I had painted so carefully and say the house was outdated, that the neighborhood was declining. He didn't see the sweat in the baseboards. He only saw an architectural inconvenience. Nia was my greatest joy and is now my greatest longing. She had her mother's laugh. When my wife, Sarah, passed away 10 years ago from that sudden heart attack in the kitchen, Nia promised she would never leave me alone. She said it while holding my hand at the funeral, under that relentless Dallas sun, surrounded by flowers that wilted within minutes. "I'm here, Daddy," she said, and she stayed for a while. But life has a way of pulling people away, the way the tide pulls sand. She got married, had children of her own, and suddenly Sunday visits turned into once-a-month visits, then alternating holidays. And now I get short text messages on a glass screen I can barely read with my tired eyes. "Hi, Dad. The kids are busy with soccer. We'll come by next month." Next month never comes. Time is infinite for the young, but for me, it's a resource running out like water in a desert. I sit on the front porch in the late afternoon, watching the sunset behind the oak trees I planted myself. They're huge now, casting shade that cools the house, but their roots are starting to crack the sidewalk. I don't have the strength to fix the sidewalk. I don't have the strength to climb onto the roof and clean the gutters. The house is dying with me, and what hurts most is that I kept it immaculate for people who don't want to walk through that door. I look at the empty bedrooms upstairs. Marcus's room still has a few basketball trophies gathering dust. Nia's room still carries that faint scent of cheap teenage perfume that never quite goes away. Sometimes, in the middle of the night, when the silence becomes too loud, I walk through those rooms. I touch the brass doorknobs I used to polish every Saturday. I hear the echo of voices that no longer exist. I am a ghost haunting my own home. I devoted every hour of my physical strength to making sure they wouldn't have to fight the way I fought. I gave them the luxury of forgetting. They don't need to remember segregation at downtown lunch counters. They don't need to remember having to drive miles out of the way because certain gas stations wouldn't serve us. They live in a world I helped build for them. But in this new world, there doesn't seem to be room for the old factory worker who still keeps the receipts from the 1982 kitchen renovation in a shoebox. There was a moment, about 2 years ago, that truly broke something inside me. It was my 75th birthday. I fired up the grill. I bought the best meat at the market where the butcher still knows me by name. I cleaned the yard, pulled every weed, painted the metal chairs white. I spent the entire week preparing. I imagined the grandchildren running across the grass, the sound of soul music playing from the kitchen radio, the laughter. I wanted the house to feel young again. Nia called on Saturday morning. I saw her name on the screen and my heart jumped. "Daddy," she said, and I already knew by her tone. It was that polite, apologetic voice, the voice people use when talking to a stranger in traffic. Marcus won't be able to fly in because of a last-minute meeting, and my youngest caught a cold. We don't want to pass it on to you. Let's do it next month, okay? We love you. I hung up the phone and stood there in the kitchen, staring at 10 kilos of meat marinating. I didn't get angry. I didn't yell. I just sat down in that oak chair and stared at the wall. In that moment, I realized I had built a monument to my own loneliness. I turned my effort into bricks, and those bricks now formed a barrier my own children were too lazy to cross. The house was too big, too far away, too old. I ended up taking the food to the church shelter the next day. Pastor Miller thanked me, shook my hand, and asked how the kids were doing. I lied. I said they were great, busy with important things. I protect their pride as if it were my own life, even when they don't do the same for me. That's what a father does, I suppose. You carry the weight so they can walk light, but no one tells you that in the end, you'll become so heavy you won't be able to move. My legs hurt now. The doctor says it's circulation, the result of decades standing on that concrete factory floor. Every step from the living room to the bedroom is a negotiation with pain. I could move to a smaller place. I could sell this house for good money, now that the neighborhood is being revitalized, as the realtors with fake smiles who knock on my door like to say. But how can I sell Sarah's memories? How can I abandon the place where my children's heights were marked in pencil on the pantry doorframe? If I sell this house, what's left of Elijah Banks? I am my belongings. I am my history carved into these walls. If I leave here, I become just another old black man in a nursing home waiting to be buried. Here, at least, I am the king of an empty kingdom. I have my Sunday ritual. I put on my best suit, even if no one comes. I sit at the mahogany table, read the newspaper from cover to cover, and drink my coffee. I pretend the door will open at any moment and I'll hear someone shout, "Grandpa!" The illusion is what keeps me alive, but it's also what kills me a little more every day. Sometimes I catch myself wishing I had been less successful. Gee, maybe if we had stayed in that small, cramped apartment, where the walls were thin and the heat unbearable, we would still be close. Maybe if they had seen more of my struggle and less of its rewards, they would value the ground where those rewards grew. But I did my job too well. I made them believe comfort is a natural right, not something purchased with the sacrifice of an entire lifetime. I watched the lights in the neighboring houses go out one by one. Many of those houses now belong to young people who don't know who I am. They see me on the porch and nod, a quick gesture of recognition for the old man at number 412. They don't know I helped organize the union at that factory. They don't know I marched for rights they enjoy without thinking. To them, I'm just part of the scenery, like the fire hydrant on the sidewalk or the rusty mailbox. I wish I had known that time is not something you accumulate, like money in a bank. I thought that by working hard now, I was buying quality time for the future. But the future arrived, and it is a 4-bedroom house where the only sounds are the hum of the refrigerator and the ticking of a wall clock I forgot to set. If I could go back, I would have worked 1 hour less each day. I would have taken them fishing at the lake, even if it meant not having the best carpet on the block. I would trade every square foot of this property for an afternoon of real conversation, unhurried, without their constant glances at the clock or their phones. Maybe this will mean something to someone listening. You there, who are running, who think success is the size of your garage or the zip code where you live. Be careful. You may end up building a structure so perfect that it no longer needs you. And there is nothing sadder than being an unwanted guest in the very story you wrote. The night in Dallas is beautiful. The sky turns a deep purple before going completely dark. I'm going to close the curtains now. I'll lock the front door with that same key from 1974. It still works perfectly, the mechanism solid, like everything I do. It's a shame the human heart isn't made of steel and brass. It's made of flesh and expectation, and mine is very tired of waiting for visits that have turned into strangers. I'll go upstairs slowly, one step at a time. I'll sleep in a bedroom that feels too big for one man, surrounded by the silence I financed myself. Tomorrow is Monday. There's nothing on the schedule except looking out the window and hoping the mailman brings something other than a bill or an advertisement. The house is secure. The fences are firm. The alarm is on. I am protected from everything except the absence of the people I miss. If what I said touched you in any way, if it made you think of someone sitting in a house too big, waiting for a sign, maybe you'd like to tell me what you felt. I'm in no hurry. I'll be here, in this same armchair, surrounded by these walls that I love and hate with the same intensity. Good night. May your silence be sweeter than mine.